Hello, everybody. Happy Friday, everyone.
Happy
It
Friday.
is, yes, it is Friday, March 21st, 2025. If you have not forgotten, I am going to introduce myself, then we'll move on to my co host and doing our lovely guests. I am Keisha, one half of the host of the Regal Mindset podcast show. Jay, go ahead.
I am Joy, the coach. I am the other half of the Mindset podcast, and we have a topic for you today.
Absolutely, we do. We have a guest to talk about it, though. She's gonna give us her perspective. Not
It's
that we're
there.
insinuating anything, but we love the feedback from our listeners, our supporters, our family, our Regal family. But we got Ren with us tonight. She is a chef and a loan processor. So, Ren, go ahead and say something.
Hey, I'm here. Let's make this
We
Wait a
love
interesting.
it.
minute.
Okay, we love it. We love it. Listen, so tonight we are gonna have a conversation. The title of tonight's conversation is you broke or not? Is you
I
broke
love it.
or not?
Oh
That's
no.
what they saying out here in these streets, right? But so the premises of that, I'll kind of catch everybody up, those who are listening, and if you are, make sure you like and share the content for tonight and any other content. Why do stars often carry the financial burden in most of the relationships, right? And it's perceived, or so some of the feedback that we've gotten from some of the people, and we want to know your perspective, is that we out here broke. That the masculine presented women are broke. We do have a video that we're gonna share. Should we set that up now, or should we? What's your thoughts, Coach?
Well, let's let everybody get a little quick input, and then let's hit them with that good video.
Yeah. I got you. Okay,
So, how
so
do
that's
you
what
feel
they're
about
saying out here.
like how do you feel about the stereotype?
I can only say what my experience is. Was there a time where I did not have the financial means that I have right now today? Absolutely, right? So somebody's daughter might have had Waffle House, whereas today we might be eating Ruth Chris every other day if we want to.
Come on,
You know what
Waffle
I'm
House
saying?
is still good.
Okay, listen, I
Okay.
love a good Waffle House too. I ain't mad, you know. But there may so my point in saying that is yes, when I was younger and I was watching a video today where they were saying that when you're in your 20s, early 20s, mid 20s, that you're supposed to be broke. You got to figure it out. You got to take that time with yourself and learn who it is you are as a person. So for me, as a young masculine centered person, I was not always in a financial place where I am today, right?
Mhm.
And to the gentleman's point, I don't know that anybody really is unless they have, their parents in their lives who are financially funding those excursions or those opportunities to date and do whatever it is that makes that child or that young adult comfortable. Um, Jay, what's your thoughts, Coach?
So I got a few different angles
Okay.
because I agree that the stereotype is real.
Oh,
I've
okay.
seen it with my own eyes, especially
Oh
them
man.
little young bucks. I've
Yeah.
seen it with my own eyes. I attest that it is associated with the identity crisis that we, as masculine identifying or women who choose to show up in a masculine or stud way,
Mm-hmm.
we struggle with identity. All of us went through a clothes change. We didn't know how our hair was going to be. We had to find ourselves. And in that, the perception of, we all went through that man stage too, where you didn't know if you needed to feel like a man, appear like a man, be like a man. Then you also said, well, I can't be too feminine. Everybody that went down the masculine identifying way definitely had this struggle.
Right.
So I feel because it's an identity crisis, you didn't know how to show up. So
Mm,
it may, and a lot of studs are young, especially I know a lot of them were young, so they were not responsible. They
I
didn't
get
know
it.
what responsibility was because we had this conversation with the young lady um, who became gay for her girlfriend and it just worked out. I can't even think of her name,
Wait for
but
her.
she made the statement about studs looking at femmes like their mother.
Oh, the backpack.
The backpack. That's
Yeah.
what it was.
Okay.
Backpack,
Yeah.
backpack.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think some of that still rings true to the point. Now I ain't looking at it like my mama because my
Mm-mm.
mama. No, I'm not attracted
No,
to my mama.
we ain't dating mama.
But it's like a lot of films typically have an apartment, or they always take it on that leader role, even though we dress like we supposed to be the head of household.
Okay, I get that.
Unpack, but I want to give Cinnamon an opportunity to tell us
Come
about
on, cinnamon.
those.
Well, from my perspective, being a femme, I think it's all about mentality, mentality and how you raise. I don't care if, personally speaking, I feel like if you have a money mentality, whether you are stud, whether you're trying to figure it out, that shouldn't have anything to do with your pockets. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So for me, I feel like sometimes it's upbringing, sometimes it's just whatever you was faced with growing up in life. But if your mentality is make money and get on top of it, then that's what you do. Because there's a lot of youngsters out here that's doing better and more financially stable than some of the old heads.
Mhm.
And
Mm.
so what would be that excuse? You know what
Oh,
I'm saying? So for
you
me,
want
it's
to
all
fight?
about perspective. I don't think it has anything to do with your actual placement in a relationship or your role in a relationship. If you
Mm-hmm.
have
Right.
a broke mentality, then whether you the head of household or the bottom feeder, you still gonna be broke.
See,
Mm-hmm.
because you came with a different perspective of broke. And I had this conversation similar to what me and Cree was talking about earlier, is that some people look at broke as the financial or resources that you have, and you're looking at it from a more mental. You broke in the head, which
Mm-hmm.
is going to
Yep.
show up in everything else that you
Mm-hmm.
have. So
Yep.
that's two different perspectives on that.
Yeah. You know what? I have another one while you were talking, Rand, that also rang true for me, at least. Most of the women that I dated had already either had small children or something to that nature. So more than likely, they had to, of course, provide for not just themselves, but little people as well. And so from that perspective, they more than likely, right, had to have a different drive, a different mindset, a different position in life because it wasn't just about them. For
Mhm.
me, I can say, and I don't have any children, and anything that I brought to the relationship was, myself, my education, my certain things, but I I could maneuver different, right? So I didn't
Yeah.
necessarily have the same level of responsibility, but yet I had to drive. So right, so although I may have been going places and doing things, and sometimes that wasn't all didn't always gel right with the other person, with the significant other. So
Mm-hmm.
I get that too.
But see, I was raised in the South, so we were dual trained in
Ah,
life. So it's like I was with my uncle pretty much all the time. So I knew how to change tires. I knew how to go steal trucks. I knew how to break in buildings. I knew how to shoot. I knew how to do everything that he knew how to do.
okay.
I didn't take it like, oh, this is a man thing, this is one thing. I was around him, and it was like he, without saying it, showed me like, if you're going to be in this place, this is how you act. You need to make sure that your family is always eating. You should make sure that your house is always taken care of. So it was those unspoken learning things that I went through with him. Then being with my grandfather, same thing. I saw what he did. So it's like when I grew into myself and I'm like, okay, I'm more on the softly dominant side. However, I'm the head of my household. It was natural for me just to have my shit together. Now, has it been a struggle on some points? Absolutely.
Mm,
But I knew from a beginning that whether I was dressed as a femme or dressed as a masculine, I always had my own place. I always had this. I always had all of that. So it
mm-hmm.
was like it was hard for me to see other studs who didn't have that wasn't on that mental capability or even financial capability, because I'm like, why are you carrying your stuff in the trash bag? Why you don't have a place?
And that brings me back to that exactly what you said goes back to what I said about it's your mentality. It's about your
Mm-hmm.
upbringing. It's about those type of things because my father was the same way.
Right.
Although my mother and father weren't together for my life, but my dad was, I could never be on the side of the road because the car ran hot. I
Right.
can't call him for a flat tire. I could change brakes too. Now, do I want to?
Mm-hmm.
No. I could change the tire in all white and don't even get dirty. That's the type of father
Right.
that
Right.
I had. growing up. So my mentality was the same. I'm supposed to make sure I'm working. I'm supposed to make sure I have some type of stability. Now, again, like you said, if you got stumbled along the way, yeah. But that was my mentality before my son came along.
Mm-hmm.
So it did magnify to a degree, but growing up in Detroit, you have people that have multiple children that still have that broke mentality.
Right.
That having kids doesn't make them feel like their circumstances should be better, or maybe they should thrive a little harder, or maybe they should get something better than minimum wage, or maybe they should get off the system altogether. You know what I'm saying? Having more kids made them more broke mindset versus the opposite way of what it should have been. So, like I said, that brings me all the way back to it's your mindset. It's all about your mindset, your mentality.
And before we go into the video, something that Keisha brought up before is almost how we deal with our children. We have a different standard for the boys. We have a different standard for the girls, especially people that present themselves as we do, because we're in a different mindset. You're going to do this. You should have this. This is the way that you should be. And then, sometimes we're a little bit more lenient on these little girls, but at the end of the day, for my sons, I have a whole totally different mindset when it comes down to them, because I expect you to know.
Absolutely.
But I hold myself responsible in ensuring that I teach you, because I expect you to know. And then I want you to be able to come to me and ask, okay, I got a question because I've never dealt with this before. Let's talk about it. But you shouldn't be on the side of the road while, on your phone while the car broke down. I mean, what if the tire busts? You should be able to change that tire. And she shouldn't be changing the tire of you there. So anyway, that's just a whole totally different mindset that we have. But these young ladies, well, I don't know what they call themselves, but this group of individuals brought up the whole topic. And I thought it would be interesting that we kind of discuss it.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead. We're going to roll the camera. I mean, we're going to roll the video. Amber, thank you for stopping by. Stay tuned. Here we go.
Studs be broke, because I feel like a lot of people be trying to say like studs are broke.
Actually, statistically, studs are the brokest. And
the brokest is crazy.
But I mean, I'm not saying y'all. I'm not saying we broke.
No.
I feel like some of us have we've beaten the system.
The odds, right?
Yeah, we've definitely beaten the odds, right? But like, name 5 A-list studs.
Queen Latifah.
But she didn't come out until
Jada Pinkett Smith.
She's definitely studding. But you be told, are they us? Are they open like us? Do they move like us?
Young and May.
She's not a. Come on.
She's not a stud.
She's not an A-lister.
Oh.
Yeah. She never won a Grammy. She never. Young and May, I love you, and I'm so happy that you were even able to.
She broke barriers.
Broke the mold. Like you walked so a lot of us could run. I think that you made it easier for me, to be honest, and I will always respect you. I will always love you. You were the first to do it, right?
Ellen.
But she's white. And so is Billie Eilish. Billie Eilish is a stud too. She's killing. She's
all right. The screenwriter,
Lena Waithe.
Yes.
I don't feel like she's as famous as she should be. She was even on the movie Ready Player One, which is one of my favorite movies ever. Like, I just think that sometimes we are underpaid, overlooked, and we are fighting like an uphill battle. And I think that the only way that we can get through it is if we come together.
A lot of us are minorities within minorities within minorities. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
And I don't think people realize that, like, even being a woman isn't a minority, but that is something that's already like
it's against you.
Yeah, and then you're black or Spanish, then you're a gay stud. Like, the odds are low.
And don't mess around and be one that can actually pull or that will actually stand up for themselves.
Whole lot of gay shit. Whole lot of gay.
Yeah, listen.
They made some good points.
Yeah, they did. So a lot, from what I gather, a lot of what they were asking was to kind of name, some people that we would be familiar with, right? And I understand that perspective, But at the same time, I went to look for some statistics myself, right? Versus feminine women
Right.
and stud or masculine presenting. And there wasn't enough data. So, right. So that's just flat out. This just wasn't not, there just was not enough data. What I will say is, and I think Amber spoke to that, is oftentimes it is the younger generation who does not necessarily have the financial means to be able to provide, right? So the question or tonight's conversation is about, is you broke or not, right? So broke meaning, can we provide as the masculine presenting women, right? And then what does providing mean, right? So we talked about it's not necessarily just financially, right? It could be other things, right? There's some studs who are stay-at-home studs. That is not my position. I don't know what
That
that
ain't
looks
me.
like.
I can't play that role, homie.
Okay, but it happens.
It does quite more often than not.
But you know, like going back to them and kind of give a little backstory. So I don't know if she's Hispanic or white. It really doesn't matter. But you know, whites and Hispanics are not definition studs. Stud is for Black lesbians of masculine ascendant. So they're not studs, one. So that's why you couldn't put Ellen in there, because she's not a stud. She's not Black. So then, like you said, with Queen Latifah, she always gave off Cleo, but Queen throw on some ruby red. And, you know, and she is what she is. But it is true.
What's her name? Let me find her. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Because I was like, there's really not too many people out there. Because, I mean, Niecy Nash just decided to come out last week. But her girl is not an A-lister. Her girl is A-list because her wife is. But her girl being a stud, presenting the way she is, she's not an A-lister. So what I'm understanding is who is on the big screen, who is brave. Even that woman who just recently died, Giovanni, what is her name? She was like a poet, activist lady. Can't think of her name right now. She was Black. She was that old school, and she probably what you call a bulldagger. She was old. She was an old one.
Yeah.
So, you know, and that is an offensive word if you're not one. But she was one of them, but her wife was white. So it's kind of like she may not even identify. Yvette Fonder, Bishop Yvette Fonder. She's an A-lister in my perspective because she won awards for singing with Walter Hawkins and all of that. She's a very extremely well-known. Yo boo from The Wire is not an A-lister. She ain't win no Grammy or nothing. She's talking about Snoop.
That was a good try though.
Always on them little ones. But so it's kind of like we don't have that representation to compare.
Yeah.
We know that there are some that are doing well.
Sure.
And then you got the studs of Atlanta. Now they trying their little thing. Now
well, Easy and Natalie are on the rise, but like you said, if we're classifying as A-list, like so that everyone would know, only the social media streets are familiar with Natalie and Easy.
Yeah.
I would say, and to your point, Jay, all of the people that you mentioned that could be relevant or in this conversation, they're all, let's say, seasoned. I don't want to say
seasoned.
They're like seasoned. So, but like again, in your early 20s, even up until 30, I would say until you break 30, you know what I'm saying? 9 times out of 10, you don't have the financial means to be able to provide for an entire household, right?
Right.
Unless it could just be my perspective, right? And I'm sure there's some outliers that, you know, that are and do, you know what I'm saying? I'm not talking about the people who taking care of Section 8 when you're $8 rent. We're not talking about those people.
Right.
We're talking about people who are not getting assistance from the state and they're taking care of themselves and their families in that way where they can, you know, move wherever they want to move, you know, if they choose.
Well, if you're going to say it like that, then the question would be, are we talking about when we were 20 and 30 was breaking the mold? Or are you talking about this new 20?
This new 20 is 5.
30.
This new 20 is age 5. Yeah.
Back in the day, we got out there. We had cars, we had jobs, we did a whole lot of things that these now 20-somethings don't do. They don't have the drive that we had then. You know what I'm saying?
They didn't have to. Our parents made us do it. Like go get your own switch. That was our parents. Their parents they're trying to make up for what they parent did to them, and we ain't got time for that. No. So you're right. We was cut from a different cloth, but in the same sense, it also makes us a little biased because we do see them from our perspective of like, you should. As a matter of fact, I brought one of them up on one of our podcasts before. Where was I? I was getting my work car serviced, and this little Nissan Altima pulled up, and they was getting black trash bags out of the Family Dollar, and it caught my attention because I'm like, why you got busted out windows? It's a little baby stud, a little film, and they taping the plastic bags on the window, but when they open up the door, it seems like it appeared that their entire life was in that car as well. And immediately I got mad at the stud because I'm like, there's no way you should have your girl out here. And then I thought about it. We in Baltimore. Yeah, I get it. But I immediately looked at the stud. Why are you okay with living in the car? Why are you okay with both of y'all living in the car? Why are you okay with putting trash bags on the back of the window? Like there's no.
Why
even
she
if
okay with it? She with it.
And that was okay with it. But to me, from my perspective, I'm the head of my household. If we got to go stay at the extended stay, we're going to figure this out. And it's like, to me, I don't know their story, but I'm like, did they try to figure it out? Did she try to go get help? It was during the daytime. Why you ain't nobody working? Because you can go right at Family Dollar and they pay by the day. Like, what are we doing?
Some of them, some people don't have support at all just because they're a part of the alphabet community.
Right.
So some of these young girls that are studs, even at a young age, they were shut out so early on that where did they get the lesson from? When we started off talking, we talked about how your uncle, my father, there were certain things that was instilled in us, whether they was trying to or not, whether it was an actual lesson or not. They don't have that because their mothers is probably 10, 15 years older than them. No shade to anybody that had kids at a young age, but it's kids having kids.
So you pretty much saying we was raised and they wasn't.
Yeah. I mean, for lack of a, better way to say it, but yeah, we were raised. They grew up. I don't know how to put it.
They grandma watched them. They grandma watched them. We was raised.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We didn't have social media like that. We didn't have so many influences and it's not that it wasn't going on. It just wasn't on TV. People was getting murdered all the time. Back in the day, it was the dang on crack era, but it wasn't on TV. You didn't see all of that stuff on TV like you do today. Nowadays, if somebody gets shot down the street, 47 people is running with a video. The whole idea, they have no regard for life. They don't have any foundational, what's the word I'm looking for? Morals.
Substance? Okay, morals.
You know what I'm saying? Everything is for the gram or for Facebook. So going to be on social media with a stack of money and no job, it's not frowned upon with these kids nowadays. Right. So they went and stole something and got it on social media and they showing all of this money and they think that's good and that's okay. But if it's in your hand, it ain't enough.
You're right.
If you can hold it, it ain't enough. You need to be able to put that in your account. Do you have some type of stability? And then we talked about a long time ago, I think I can't remember if it was your podcast or another one where people don't even have life insurance because that's not a priority to them. You know what I'm saying? But some people think it's because it writes your death certificate. But again, here we go back to the mentality. Like, how do you think? Do you think that's okay or is good enough? Do you think you're able to have more, or is what you saw, that's it?
Right. But now I'm a challenge the narrative of not having good role models. I can get that. Not having information, but you can figure anything out on YouTube. You can figure anything out on Google or ChatGPT. There's no excuse that you cannot say, okay, go to ChatGPT, how to be an adult in 2025. I don't even care what you put in as the prompt, but there's something out there that Abby, can she be on YouTube pulling up all kinds of stuff? And so there's the world of information. We had to physically do it. But now there's a world of information that, and again, let me also back up. In school, we were also made to take certain courses that prepared us for the workforce. Yeah. Now, granted, we had to take typing. We had, because they was preparing us to go to work. And we couldn't graduate unless you had a driver's license. That was part of, that wasn't an elective. That was mandatory. Forget home ec, but we had that work thing where you can, if you was in 12th grade and you did good, you can get out half a day and they help you get a job. So it was kind of like you was already prepared. We even learned how to write checks in school.
Yeah.
I mean, we know how to write in cursive. We can tell time, stuff that these generation would never experience. So it's like, but again, you can find it how to do Forex. You can find it how to do day trading to try to make quick money or to scam somebody. You had to learn how to make sure that machine in Atlanta can pick up everybody's credit cards. But you can't learn
the right thing. They probably could be better, but they don't.
Right. Even with that Chase Bank thing, when everybody was getting those checks, you telling me nothing in your head said, I know I ain't got $99,000. Nothing said that.
Nope.
Well, no. I'm gonna agree with you, Jay, on that, and add to that, right? Because, like you said, when I was coming up, or a young adult, or young adult, let's say even in college years, right? So let's say 20 to 27, 28, right? I did not necessarily have the tools or the resources to be able to make the money that people are now, right? In that age group, right? They have access to social media. They can make money on YouTube. There's some young people who are making lots of money on YouTube, more than their parents. Okay. There's some that are creating brands, e-commerce, whether it's clothing brands, whether it's like digital products. There's many different ways for young adults to make a living, to take care of not just themselves, but if they have a family, then they can do that as well. So they have things or access to things that we did not necessarily have. So the question for tonight is, you broke or not? I feel like it depends again on your drive and what it is you want out of life. So the opportunity is there. How you choose to take advantage of those opportunities is really based upon your surroundings, right? Your drive, that and the way you see yourself or your life playing out. And then, of course, your level of responsibility. Some people are making lots of money and they're making poor decisions.
Right. And creativity. Yeah. We were creative. We could make a way out of no way because we was forced to be outside.
Yeah.
If you got lost, you found your way back home.
Yeah. You the street lights came out too.
Yeah. Exactly. They said don't go around that corner. You fear that if you went around that corner, somebody was gonna pop up. And the fact that we had people in our neighborhoods, well, I know I did, and that could discipline you, and it wasn't a problem because they would never beat you, torment you, or put you in any type of hurt. But what they will do is make sure they told your mama they whooped your ass when you got to school because the school bus driver told them when they came to get you what you did. And I mean, it was like, and it was so accepted. Now you can't say nothing to nobody,
right? Because everybody wants to fight.
Yeah, and then it's like, and then like we had at Xavier's birthday party, these little kids being bad, and he's not a fighter, nowhere near. And I'm talking. He's not a fighter. And the thing is, the little kid, kind of got a little rough and tough with him, but he didn't know it was 100 of us out there. So that we all run out there to see what's going on. His little cousins pop off, so it turns a little physical. But then the mama who wasn't even there comes in. Where they at? I said right here. Because what we not gonna do is you come in here thinking you finna run somewhere. You wasn't even here with your little badass, ugly ass kids. Like, no, you wasn't even here to monitor them. Then you mad because they got beat up or spit on. Well, actually, they got spit on. So it was just a whole bunch of stuff going on. So you can't even say nothing to these people, kids. You can't say nothing to these kids to even want to mentor them.
True.
So why? There's nothing you want to do. Go ahead. What you were saying, Ren?
I was just gonna say, but that's choices. I look at it like, for example, that are abused growing up. You have those people that grow up and they say, I would never do that to my children because it was done to me. And then you have people that grow up and do the exact same thing to their kids. So they have to have that want to get out of that hole. A lot of these younger people nowadays, for some reason or another, feel entitled. And maybe it's because, like you said, we had to go outside and figure it out. We couldn't run in and out. So if you was thirsty, you had to figure it out outside.
No water hose.
Nowadays, if a kid outside playing and they get thirsty, the mama gonna go to the store and buy the bottle of water or the fancy water and bring it back and probably give it to them in the cup with a straw.
When do they go outside, Red?
Okay.
True.
Yeah.
Half of these kids on vitamin D supplements. They don't go outside.
But yeah, you gotta want it. You gotta want it. And if you're not surrounded by the right group of people, some people don't hold you accountable. Yeah. They let you just be like that. You can't be my friend and just be around me and just don't be doing nothing with your life, and I'm not gonna say anything. But then you got some people that just be like, oh, it's cool. That's just them. That's not okay. Right. We need the village. The village we had the village. The village helped us. Like you just said, you went around that corner, you got whooped. You was at school. The lunch lady probably tagged you a couple of times. The teacher had a paddle. You get your pop on your hand if you doing something you ain't got no business doing. Mm-hmm. These kids don't have nothing. Kids say the wrong thing to a teacher. The parents up there ready to fight. It's just a mess.
Exactly.
So going back to is you broke or no, the system is broken, which is why these younger kids are broken. Now, as far as these studs, they got to make a decision. But if they're not surrounded by uplifting studs or studs that got something going, if they don't see it, they don't think it's achievable. You see people on TV and they doing nice, but they're on TV. So you expect that from people on TV. But when a person meets, for example, your organization, ALZ, that's a whole group of women that are doing good, that are above, doing things that most younger studs are not doing. You guys are established. Y'all have degrees. You got businesses. You got y'all have so many things to showcase that it's like this is attainable. But is you going to go down to the hood and grab them up and put them in the car and show them? No, they got to want it.
Exactly. That's why, just FYI, they got to be born in. They just can't join in ALZ. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask what I think is an important question here, right? So again, tonight, we're talking about, is you broke or not? Mm-hmm. Is it the stud or the masculine presenting person's responsibility to take care of their partner? Or is it at a shared experience, especially if we're talking about people who are in their younger years, right? Is that a responsibility?
I think it's shared now. Growing up, I felt it was a responsibility.
Okay.
All they want to do is fight. That's right.
That's true though.
But and I think growing up, I had a sense of responsibility.
Okay.
But then now I'm like, okay, I can understand it being shared and it doesn't take away. And again, it's a mindset. You felt emasculated in a way if you let your girl do stuff for you.
Right.
So I can understand from that perspective. Mm-hmm. However, it is anybody's responsibility to be able to care for themselves. Mm-hmm. You have to bring something to the relationship that is meaningful. Point blank period. We can't. I seen this stud and her daddy fighting because she hit her mama, but you had your girl living in their house. You're doing too much. And like I tell my son, if you can't put your name on a piece of plastic, you can't put your name on a girl. And that standard should weigh the same in whether it's a same-sex relationship. You have to measure yourself by what you're offering. And I don't believe in that we're struggling together as long as it's us. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We're not going to be sleeping in no tent on the side of the road together because we're in love. And you know, back then we wouldn't even go. Well, a lot I know. No, I did because I ain't want to be up with nobody like that. They used to stay home from work because they want to be up under their girl and they can't go nowhere. Heck, we had some interest that was like that. We were like, you can't be a part of this. Your girl can't come too. We only can take one of y'all.
With the issue, I think that each individual person should be able to maintain themselves if they were separated. You should have your own, whatever you have, and then your partner should have their own, whatever you have, and you come together. And in the event that you're in a relationship and you have and you're a stud or a masculine presented woman, and that's the role that you decide that you want to take, and you have the feminine woman that can handle that, because some feminine women can't handle that. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. It was difficult for me at first because I've been taking care of me the whole time. So to relinquish all of that to another person was beyond me at first. You know, it was kind of like, you want me to do what? You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't, what? Like, you gonna pay all the bills? No, I need a bill. I need something. I gotta go to work. I can't just not work. So I think that you should individually have your own, and then that also, I think, will make each other thrive for each other. But some of these studs want to be the breadwinner and then go get a girl that ain't got no ambition.
Now that's a big one. That's it.
You know what I'm saying? If your girl don't have no ambition and no thrive, if you start to fall by the wayside, who's encouraging you? Now both of y'all on the side of the road in this tent that you just talked about, and she's okay with it because she ain't got no ambition.
Right.
So if it's gonna work, both of y'all got to have some type of drive or some type of stability about yourself before you even get into the relationship.
Right. So going on the topic, is you broke or no? We're looking at it from broke mentality equates to the financial broke, the money broke, and all of that other stuff. And okay, let's talk about the red flags of that. Okay. So I'm gonna throw this out there. You know, some of the red flags for broke studs, if they're a security guard and they're unarmed. If they're an unarmed security guard, 9 times out of 10 they broke. Now, if they armed security, they got a little extra little boost in their pay. But if you're an unarmed security officer, I think you broke. What is a red flag do you feel for studs that you can say, yeah, she ain't got nothing?
Go ahead, Red. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you can go. I'm not gonna forget mine.
Okay, so I was just gonna say, I don't know if it's considered a red flag, but I do know that women that I've dated in the past sometimes they have expectations, right? And one of those being, well, you got to get my hair done, you got to get my nails done, you got to do this, that, and that. First of all, the only thing I got to do is stay black and die. That's it.
That's right.
That's it. Anything I do or choose to do outside of that is because I want to. What you're not going to do is tell me what I got to do.
That's so you saying the unmet needs, like you're telling me what I got to do, but when I met you,
I don't know who was doing it, right?
Yeah, like no, you could have been doing that.
Yeah, well, I don't even know it's that. I think it's just the idea that they have in their mind that, okay, my man used to do it, or my woman used to do it, whatever, or who, I don't know who did it. Again, we just discussing that Lakeisha's not doing it. If Lakeisha chooses to, it's because she wants to, not because you told her that you got to get my nails done, you got to get my hair done. Wear your hair like it is. What's wrong with it? Okay, I digress.
I like that. I like that.
You know what I'm saying? That's a flag for me. Like that means that we shouldn't be dating because no.
To your point, and I'm gonna bring this on to the strippers real quick because I love a good stripper. You know, when we go to the strip club, the men, they throw that same dollar over and over. That girl would sit there and do this for 13 minutes for $5. But then you come over there to us and you think we breaking you off 20s every time you come. No. You're going to get that same $3. I want to see you shake for 13 minutes for the same $3.
That's
His
because
our dollars way the same.
Before robbed the ATM and then they're flashing money with no job. We talked about that.
Yeah. But it's the strippers that get on my nerve because I'm like, no, go get it from him. Go get it from him. But go ahead, Cinnamon. What's a red flag?
I think a red flag for a stud that you can tell is if they've been working at a fast food restaurant and they never make manager.
So they still washing lettuce, and then tomorrow they
still washing lettuce or pushing bags out the window, but you ain't got enough ambition to have been there for 6 years and you don't want to be a manager. You can play.
I hope they got a 2 in front of their name.
That's a red flag.
They in their 20s, Ran? Are they 30s? Like, what is?
Oh, they in 30s.
Oh, but no. You know, McDonald's will promote you at 14 years old. They don't care as long as you can count.
Not if you don't. But that's my point. I'm not saying that working in fast food is a bad thing because there's people out here that's the operations manager for the 6 places on the west side, and that's cool. But if you still a crew member and you've been working there for 10 years, you ain't got no ambition. Because what are you doing? That means you don't want to be better.
Right.
Ren, you about to start a fight.
Listen, they washing lettuce. Listen, you're a lettuce washer.
I'm just saying.
Woo.
Okay,
you got a lot of stuff in that drive through. Be doing something like, what are we doing? We dropping fries forever? Listen, that's what we doing. The 3-minute push the button and you pull them up, put some salt on them. You gotta want to do something.
They don't do that. They don't even do that right.
I'm just saying.
They don't even do that right.
Another red flag. Go ahead. That's broke is when your mother is okay with you doing nothing with your life. If your mama don't tell you, hey, you can't be out here with no girlfriend or doing nothing or doing whatever or trying to, better yourself. If she okay with it, like you good, just stay where you at. Keep them at the bare minimum. Don't excel. That's a red flag too, because that tells me that you don't have anybody encouraging you. So if I try to encourage you, I'm probably going to come off pushy.
Right.
Gotcha.
Or I'm going to come off as trying to run your life.
That's what y'all do.
No, negative.
Okay. This is another one. If you ask her what she doing, she say she in computer school.
That's a lie.
Ma'am, first of all, what computer school? Now she said, I'm studying CompTIA, Net 3. Break it down. I'm in computer school. No, you're not.
Let her learn Word and
absolutely not. Computer school students.
She wants to learn Microsoft Word in peace. Let that lady live.
No,
she lied.
No, because she at least need to be in
course she signed up for that said computer school.
Microsoft Word.
Well, then she should say I'm in Microsoft Word school.
Don't be laughing now.
Look, I heard my laugh. Let her learn Word, Microsoft Word in peace.
Listen.
She out here with her best self, her greatest life. So listen, those were all great flags, right? And those were all good information for people to kind of take heed and really kind of look at things from a different perspective or a different lens, right? Especially computer school. Hey, babe. So the other question that I want to ask and get y'all's opinion on is financial discrimination, right? So we kind of talked on about it just briefly. Should we say, for example, if a stud for whatever reason loses her employment, right? Loses, she in a situation with someone else, she loses her job. Is it frowned upon for the femme to kind of help uplift the family, take care of things until she get back on her feet? Or is that discrimination? Or how do we look at that? How should we look at that?
I personally feel like that goes back to what I said with you need to be able to hold your own before you get here.
Okay.
because things happen, life happens.
Sure.
So if something happens, are you able to help? You know, I mean, and even if you can't, you know, depending on your lifestyle, you might not be able to pull off everything, but can you kind of keep it together? Or, you know, can you step up and be that person that you probably, I mean, if y'all wasn't together, you was gonna have to figure something out.
True.
So that if you come into it with that mentality, if you already hold your own coming into it, then when something like that happens, it shouldn't be a deal breaker. It should be, you water me, I water you, and we grow together. Everybody not going to always have the upper hand. Now, listen, don't get me wrong. It's a major blessing if your head of household can maintain that position throughout your entire relationship. That's a blessing. But any event that something happens, can you hold it together? Because you know they're capable. So this has to just be a moment in time. So can you keep it together? That's why you don't get nobody that don't mind standing on fries the whole time.
But you know what? I love what you just brought up. And it brings me, you know, of course, I always got to throw the Bible in there. When the scripture that says about being equally yoked, people take that so wrong. So I'm going to try to help people out today. If you know what a yoke is, the yoke is the thing they put around the oxen's neck. So in order for you to be equal, just like the Bible says in the book of Amos, how can two walk together except they agree? Right? Because if you're under the same yoke, I can't go to the right, you can't go to the left, and we expect it to go the same way. So we have to agree in it. But the yoke is supposed to help even out the load of the weight that the oxen is pulling. So it does, and I want people to understand that it doesn't matter if I bring in $300,000 a year, you bring in $50,000 a year. That just because the numbers don't equate doesn't mean it's unequal. Because I could bring in $300,000 a year, but never home, and you bring in 50, but you could be home, make sure things are going well, taking care of the kids until I get back home. We're balancing out that walk, we're balancing out that work. So as long as you're able, because also in relationships, just like you said about if the femme will be able to pick it up, it shouldn't be discriminatory because nobody comes to a relationship with 50-50. Everybody should come with 100. Because there's going to be some days where you're at your lowest and I need to give you my 100. And it's going to be times where I need your 100. So I can't come in with 50 when you already negative 80. So I need to take out of my 100 to make sure that I support you and vice versa. But that is a mature mentality. Not that I thought you was going to have my back. Why? Because you was in jail? Because you got in a fight and I'm not coming to get you. No, you're going to sit there. And I tell my wife this often, travel and go fight. You're going to sit there with the person you was fighting with. You're going to sit there.
Your best friend, don't worry.
No, you're not. Because you're probably going to be in there with her. And me and Coach Jose going to be sitting there like, nah, let them sit down. Don't even tell them we paid their bail. Let them sit there.
Y'all harsh, man.
They're going to be together. And
y'all harsh.
We're not going to do it. But exactly, let them sit. But when you really truly realize that, one, I think as a stud, you should not look at somebody else's life and construct your life off of that. And I think that's where a lot of the young ones fall off at, because they see the end result. They don't see what took that person to get there. They think that, they could jump from A to Z and have stacks and stacks of money without going to jail, which is a lot of these YouTubers, a lot of these content creators, because they haven't learned the integrity. They haven't learned the bumps and bruises. They haven't went anything. I ain't going to get your sister, Will. Absolutely not. She can sit right there with all her little APD issues. All of them going to be down now.
Don't do that. APD. Don't do that on live TV.
Listen.
All y'all gonna be down there.
She and Aries.
All y'all. But no, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I was just gonna say I appreciate y'all feedback. That was good information. That was solid.
But no, I think we only can show them so much. If they want to do better, you will find somebody to help you do better.
Yeah.
You'll get around the right environment to say, okay, they have a little bit more longevity. Let me look at that. But if they're constantly looking at what can I do to get from here to here as quick as possible without missing them steps, a fool and their money shall soon depart.
But you also got to be willing to show their hand, though. In order to grow, you got to accept where you aren't, and then where you want to be. Because you can be surrounded by a whole bunch of people, but if you don't own that you ain't got your stuff together, or you don't own that you are in a bad position and you need help figuring out how to get out of that, if you're not able to say that, then you're still going to be in the same position.
Right.
No matter who you're surrounded by, you got to be willing to accept it. And a lot of these studs nowadays aren't willing to accept it. They think they know everything. They ain't willing to learn. They don't want somebody to think them asking somebody for some help to them translate as I'm not good enough, or they think they're better than me. When it's not about thinking that somebody, but I want to be surrounded by people that's doing better than me. Show me something.
Right.
Teach me something. I want to learn every day. If you making 500,000 a year and I'm making 100,000 a year, what you do to get there? Let me tell you what I was doing. You tell me where I went wrong so I can grow. Some people can't accept that. Lots of studs can't accept the you wrong. You with how you going about this is all wrong, because then they go into the you can't tell me what to do. This my life. I did.
No, we only got 2 sports bras. I can tell you what to do. We only got 2 sports bras.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
2 sports bras in the back.
Listen, that's all you got.
Don't
2
do
sports
it.
bras. So shut up.
I'm just saying, but they need to be able to come to you and say, hey, I got 2 sports bras and I'm trying to figure out how to get enough for 2 weeks. If they come to you and say that, then you can be like, listen, you got to get, they got pay by play. They got this thing called Zip Pay. You can buy it and get it right now and then make 4 payments throughout the thing. Sometimes you got to tell people that. You got to show them the way, but they got to be willing to say, I only got 2 sports bras and one of them dirty all the time. They got to be willing to say that.
Or you washing clothes with the cheapest laundry detergent because you finna go to the club. No.
Or dishwashing liquid.
So here's a question. This is a good one. And Ren, I want you to answer first, right? Because I think
scared.
I know what you're gonna say. Listen, so here's a question, Ren. Let me set it up for you. We have 2 females, one stud, one masculine, in a relationship. They're around 25 years of age, right?
One stud, one
stud, one femme, right? Okay. And the stud is in a position where they want to better themselves for their relationship, for their family, right? Or for their unit, let's say that. So the stud goes on and makes some good choices and down a path that is really lucrative in terms of being able to provide, right? Now they're in their 30s. She then leaves the femme who helped her get to that position.
Alive?
Exactly, coach. This is just as fictitious.
Oh, because I'm like, she ain't gonna walk away alive. Go ahead.
She leaves that femme, right? Because she's now elevated for whatever reason. She feel like the grass is greener somewhere else. She leaves that femme, gets with another femme who they do well, but they could do potentially better. What's your point? What's your perspective or your advice for the femme who left or was left by the stud who was able to elevate her life, but in the terms or in the situation they were supposed to be elevating both of their lives? Does that make sense for you?
It makes sense.
It makes sense. So it's kind of that's kind of a twofold answer, kind of, because what was the femme doing while all this elevation was happening? Were they just watching them better themselves and still staying in the same space?
So I feel like they were the femme was just supporting the stud so that she can be her best self.
Like for example, on that journey, everything while the stud goes to school and get everything together.
Right.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, you just got dealt a raw deal. I mean, it's not much advice to give for that other than when you got with them, were you able to maintain or take care of yourself? That's gonna hurt. But can you Can you grow from that? Because that taints a person. It'll make a person feel like I don't want to support anybody else moving forward because they ain't gonna do nothing but use me and leave.
Right.
So there is some healing that has to happen during that. So my advice to a femme who that has happened to is, first of all, sometimes you got to look at yourself. I'm not saying it's necessarily her fault. However, sometimes you got to look at yourself. Were you helping? Were you enabling? Were you thriving as well? Or did you sit complacent and watch the growth? Because that may in turn looks to the person that's elevating as, you ain't doing shit, you still down here.
Right.
So now that I done made it all the way up here, yeah, you helped me and had my back, but what was you doing with your life during that time? And then that's also could be just a messed up stud. Like they didn't got big and bad and got better and feel like I need a better arm piece.
Right. So
because a lot of it is, it's not always the equally yoked part, like you said. A lot of it is what it looked like from the outside looking in. A lot of people make decisions based upon the opinions of others or what they think the opinions of others may be. So my advice to that femme would be, look at yourself first. That stud might have just been that kind of person. Were there signs? Did you see the red flags? Were you ignoring them? Were you like, oh, no, that ain't going to be good? You can tell whether you want to admit it or not. You can tell when there's a shift in the relationship. It may be that one day where you like, wait a minute, did this nigga just? Nah, they ain't do that. And you just blew it over when that was your flag. And if you blew it over, you missed the next 5 flags that came behind it. So did you put yourself in that position? Or is that person just a piece of shit and it's okay to let them go because karma comes around. And if they did you bold, you pray about it and you let God handle it. They ain't gonna be at the top for long. And the higher you get up, the harder you fall. So you gotta, that's all I got.
So I feel that to the femme, you get less time with manslaughter than you do first degree.
Get out of here.
Think about your options, okay? Think about your options. It's less time for manslaughter,
but that
than it is for first degree. But on another note, because no, we're going down together. You're not taking that. You're not going up, and I'm not there with you. We're both coming down. Yeah.
But sometimes it takes that other person to kind of hold things down at home while you go and do things that you need to do.
Yes and no, because I'm gonna give it to you from when I experienced it. Now I wasn't the feminine relationship; I was on the other side. Okay, so I've only been in 3 relationships my entire life. I know that's shocking. I've dated a lot, but I've only been in 3 relationships, well, 2 and 1/3. 2 and 1/3. But the 1 and 1/3, I actually took my money, put them through school, because that's what they said they wanted. Okay. And at the time, I was that people pleasing. Okay. You know, I was that, let me make you happy. That's the Cancer in me. That's me not feeling confident within myself. You know, I need to make this thing happen for you. And it made sense to say, okay, well, you nursing school, I'm just throw that out there. Nursing school, you didn't need but so much to go, where me going to school, I need to start from the bottom. So why not give you what you need to get on track? And then when the agreement was, when you get there, you in turn help me. Yeah. Neither one, that 1 and 1/3 did not. They took that money. One paid off their student loans. And the other one went to school for a little bit and did some other ratchet stuff. So at the end of the day, I thought, I even checked myself. I'm like, okay, was there a red flag? Was they, you know, what did I miss? I was so blinded in the relationship because I wanted to show them how much I love them. I didn't see a red flag. Nothing was red to me. And it was like, I'm doing what I need to do to make sure you get what you need to get, because I know you're going to hold me down. And not one of them hoes held me down. Not one. And matter of fact, one of them hoes was real bad. Because when my car broke down and was in the shop, she wouldn't take me to work, and we worked at the same building.
Whoa.
Now, granted, we didn't last too much longer after that, because that's when the real cancer in me kicked in.
Okay.
And I did some stuff. So that
Yeah,
girl woke up, she had 3 tires gone and the battery out of that Jaguar. You welcome. Anyway, I'm like, because I know you can't call
allegedly
to get the new tires on because it's 3 tires gone. And I took the battery out because those batteries were really expensive and they go in the trunk and nobody could get it in there. So I did damage enough to where you knew I was there. Anyway, but in all truthfulness, I thought I was doing right. I thought I was doing by the person that said they love me. Hey, Felicia Lachelle. And so it's like there's really no answer other than
blessings, though.
And that's it. I cried about it. I rebuilt myself, and I had a lot of hurt and distrust.
Okay.
And I literally turned it and I put myself through school. Did everything that I wanted to do for myself before I got into another relationship.
Okay.
Because I'm not giving you another opportunity. I don't care if you're a new person or not, to put me at the bottom of the totem pole again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now I will help, like my wife. I'll put her through whatever she wants to do. Whenever she make up a decision, now that she's at Columbia Southern, as of today, she's a Columbia Southern. And I need to throw this shameless plug in. Those who are associated with any fraternal member of Alpha Lambda Zeta Fraternity Incorporated has the capability of enrolling to several higher learning educations and also getting scholarships. Columbia Southern is one of them, as well as Southern New Hampshire is another one of them. And I think we got a third one. Either way it go, you're welcome. But that's it. I recovered, I healed, and I moved on.
Yeah, yeah. Great plug. So the only thing I was gonna add was that I think you're right in that. And to you, Ren, thank you for your feedback. I think that actual scenario, even though it was made up, I think that happens a lot. I've seen it happen occasionally, but I would say that if you're going to do that kind of exchange, right, where you're depending on the other person and you're supporting the other person at different times, then that may only work with your significant other or your wife or your husband, right? Because at that point you have more invested in the relationship versus somebody that you just sharing sheets with.
That's true. Good. That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's what I got from that.
Some people set up like that, though. Some people are natural givers. They naturally want to see people win.
Right.
And
absolutely.
The butt of that is that everybody don't deserve it for real. But that don't mean change you.
Right. It changed me.
You know what I'm saying? It probably did, but you really still a giving person. You might not give in that particular manner still, but that didn't change your character.
Right.
You still that same giving person. You still a person that if somebody call you, you'll do anything for them, give them shirt off your back because you're gonna get another. You got another one, But did it change the way that you might look at the schooling? Maybe it did a little bit. Are you gonna put yourself in a position like that again? Probably not. But it didn't change you,
right,
as a person. I don't think it should change you as a person. I think it should always be a lesson. You learn a lesson and then you move on. Life is going to teach you lessons. Some of them going to be hard. Some of them going to be obvious and easy.
But I promise just the last part of that. But it also, like you said, I had to heal from that, and it took a while. But I also know to be true that people do. It's more than just you reap what you sow. The Bible says, "Be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap." So the same thing. And I was able to see them in a manner of not how you got it back, but it did feel good to see that. Okay, you didn't even go to school. You didn't. I gave you that opportunity. So just because I was used in that situation and I was able to see the fact that, and you still didn't win.
Yeah,
so maybe that was my voluntary manslaughter.
Absolutely. Well, listen, we're at a time where we can start wrapping things up. We're a little bit over. I apologize if we went into some of your time, Ren. But I do want to say at this moment, thank you so much again for joining us for this conversation
Thank you.
at such a last minute. We appreciate you being flexible and loving Regal Mindset the way you do. We all, whenever we ask, for you to show up, you show up and you give us your input and your insight. We appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I love
You're
y'all.
so valuable.
Thing you stand for.
Okay, we appreciate that. And let's make sure she gets something real nice.
Real nice.
What time is it?
It was the way you turned around, like, yep, you heard that.
Okay, listen, y'all are hilarious.
Hold on
Listen,
one
I want to
second.
say to everybody who was online tonight and who participated in the conversation, we appreciate you all as well. Will, thank you so much again for stopping by and showing Regal Mindset so much love. Shea, as always, my beautiful wife. I think who else was on here? Bobby's on here. We had Felicia stop in. We had Crystal stop in. We also had what is her name? Amber. She stopped in. Everybody, Keish, my LS. We appreciate. What is it? How we say her name?
Eurydice.
Eurydice.
That's Cree.
Oh, okay. Yes, you missed it, but that's okay. You can watch the rerun on Facebook and or YouTube.
We got to do a
make
part
sure
two
you
because she
comment.
got some.
Okay. Well, what you doing next Friday, Cree? That's all right. You can put it in the chat. Do you guys have
What's
anything
up, my
before we
brother?
close out?
I just want to say to everybody, since we got into a real deep conversation about it, if you look at life as in don't loan anybody anything that you're going to accept back, it'll change your way of thinking.
Oh, that's good.
Okay.
I like that.
I love that.
Yeah, I love that. All right. So she's agreed for part 2. So we're going to part 2 this. Is you broke or not? We're going to answer it hopefully next week. Until then, of course, as always, keep a regal mindset and we will see you guys next week. All right.
Bye.
Thank you.